It is Tuesday, June 17th. Thanks so much for joining us for our June webinar from Blazie Technologies. I'm David Goldfield. We've got some of the crew on the call. Specifically, we have Chris Blazie and Stephen Blazie. They'll be around for the call to help answer questions when we get to those questions. And we also have Steve Clower, who's done a lot of development and testing for us as well. And we also have Ben Blatchford, who is our technical support person. And I'm David, Director of Marketing. So I want to start off with a few quick announcements. The first is that just to remind people who may not have seen the messages that we will be demonstrating at this year's NFB and ACB national conventions. Will be in the exhibit hall with BT Speak units to take a look at. I think we'll even have them to sell as well, but Stephen and or Chris can confirm this. And we'll be at both conventions. I know that the ACB convention is going to have a virtual convention for people who are not physically attending, but for people who are attending through Zoom. There's going to be a link sent out for that in late June, so it's kind of like a virtual exhibit. You won't be able to, of course, see the BT Speak, but you can interact with us, ask us questions. I'll have a BT Speak on standby to do some demos for people who want to do that. The other exciting news is that we will have a prototype of the BT Braille. We hope to have those at the conventions. That's our 20-cell Braille display product with all of the BT Speak features, but it will also have Braille. So if you're going to the convention, please stop by our booth and check it out, ask to see it, and we will be happy to show it to you. The other announcement is that we are going to be initiating another contest or competition for BT Speak users. And the title or idea for the competition is that we're asking people to submit an audio tutorial on using an app on their BT Speak. This doesn't have to be really long, so we don't need, 1 to 2 hour tutorials. But, something maybe within 10, 15 minutes. It doesn't have to be as short as previous submissions from the previous contests. But if you have a tutorial for an app, either an app that you've installed that you like to use or an app that's already there. Maybe you want to do a tutorial on setting up Thunderbird or a tutorial on doing something with one of the web browsers, adding something to favorites or doing searches. The sky's really the limit. So all you have to do is record that in whatever way you like to record tutorials, as long as we can understand you, and submit that to us by sending an email to info@blazie.net. That's info@blazie, BLAZIE.net, N-E-T. Please put the word contest in the subject so we can get to it easily, and just attach your submission. And you've got a month to do that. So the deadline for that is July 17th. Okay, so I think that's all of the preliminary announcements. Now I'm going to show you one of the new features in the BT Speak update that we released in June. One of the things that we did on the BT Speak was we did some reorganization of the menus and streamlined them. We did it for a few reasons. We wanted the options in the menus to be easier to understand, easier to find, and just to have things a little bit easier to use. For example, we used to have an operating system menu and a system administration menu and an advanced system administration menu. Nothing wrong with that. But we wanted some terminology that was a little bit easier to understand. We wanted to reorganize them so that you wouldn't have to go through tons of menus to find things that you wanted. And we're not going to go through every menu and every menu item, but I do want to go through just a couple of them to show you what they're like now. And those of you who already have a BT Speak may have already explored this. So what I'm going to do is go into the options menu. I'm going to do that now. Yeah, right.
Viewing welcome screen.
Okay.
File 1 of 1.
Now I'm going to go into the options menu.
Options menu. Open.
Okay. So I am now in the options menu, and I'm just going to hit the space bar to move forward. You could also press .4 chord to do that.
Help topics. H.
So we have help topics. You notice it doesn't say help topics shortcut is H. It just says help topics H. We did that just to make it a little bit less verbose and a little bit more efficient.
Search menus, slash.
Slash is still the search menus option, and that can be very useful. I'm going to demonstrate that in a few minutes.
Applications.
There's applications, letter A being the shortcut. By the way, the applications menu has not changed from the last update. All of the categories are the same. All of the applications are the same.
Settings, S.
We have settings for S, just like before.
File browser, F.
The file browser is still F.
Calculator, C.
Calculator is C. So far, this is all pretty standard.
Stopwatch, W.
Now, this is a teeny bit different, and Braille and Speak users might be clapping their hands, those who used to use a Braille and Speak, because we had W as the stopwatch shortcut for Braille and Speak. On the BT Speak, we used initially the number sign key, but it's now back to W for the stopwatch.
Say date, T.
Say date is D. You notice it doesn't just say date, it says say date, because we wanted to differentiate that from setting the date, because obviously setting a date and speaking the date are two totally different things.
Say time, T.
Say time is still T.
BT Speak Management, M.
Now this is one of the differences. So now we have a new menu called the Management menu, or BT Speak Management. So a lot of the things that we used to have in the operating system and the system admin or administration menu has now been moved into the Management menu. And this is going to make things easier to find. And again, I'll show you why in just a sec.
User menu, U.
We still have the user menu.
Voice command, V.
The voice command is still there.
Info about this BT Speak, I.
This is a little different. This used to be called About This Device or About This BT Speak. It's now part of the main options menu, and it just says Info About This BT Speak. So where we could, we took some of the menu names, we made them a little bit simpler, a little bit less geeky, a little bit less techy. And Info About This BT Speak has some additional info that it didn't have before, but it basically gives you info about the device, such as how much memory does it have, what's the serial number of the device, what software update am I using. These are all important things. And of course, what's nice now with the clipboard is you can copy and paste that information into another document if that's what you want to do.
Battery level, B.
And the last item in here is battery level. One of the cool things about the BT Speak Management menu is now we have check for updates. So this makes
Viewing
check
welcome
for
screen.
updates
File 1 of 1.
a lot easier to find. Before you had to go to options, then you had to go to operating system, then you had to go to system administration, and then you went to check for updates. Now it's really easy. I can just do an O chord for option.
Options menu, open.
And then M for the management menu.
BT Speak Management menu, open.
And then U for check for software updates.
Checking for system updates. No new update. Are you retrying an upgrade that failed? Default is no.
Okay, I am not retrying an update that failed,
Check for
so I'm
BT
going to
Speak
tell
updates.
it no.
U.
Um,
Language viewing welcome
the
screen.
settings
File 1 of
menu
1.
is mostly the same, but we moved a few things in there that really probably better belong in there. So I'll give you a quick tour of that.
Options
We'll
menu.
just press
Open.
O chord for options
Settings menu. Open.
and then S for the settings menu. Now we'll move forward.
Braille. B.
We still have Braille settings with B being the shortcut.
Speech. S.
We have the speech settings menu.
Audio.
We have audio.
Wi-Fi. W.
Now we have Wi-Fi under settings. So anything that you need to do with Wi-Fi, adding a new connection, switching to an existing connection, disconnecting from a connection, or forgetting a connection is all under Wi-Fi settings.
Bluetooth. T.
We now have Bluetooth under settings. And you notice we also simplified the names so it doesn't say Wi-Fi administration or Bluetooth administration. It just says Bluetooth Wi-Fi. Very simple.
Clock. C.
We still have clock settings.
Google. G.
We have Google settings.
Status indicator. Vibrate or tones. I.
And that's the status indicator. We added a little bit of hint text so it says vibrate or tones. So, and that's something we added 1 or 2 updates ago, I think 2 updates ago. So that just means, when it's letting you know that something's going on, do you want it to give you the vibrations or haptic feedback, or do you want it to just do a tone?
One-handed mode. 1.
Now we have one-handed mode in settings. We also changed the shortcut key to the number 1, which I think makes a lot of sense.
Personalize this BT Speak. Key.
And then we have personalized this BT Speak with the letter P being the shortcut. So that's where we can do things like changing the owner's name or changing the device password. So that's all under personalize this BT Speak. I mentioned that we still have menu search. This is going to be really helpful if you are looking for something that did get moved and you can't find it. So let's show you
Viewing
how
welcomes.
that works.
Options menu. Open.
Let's go to options, and I'm going to press dots 3-4 for the slash.
Enter search text.
It said enter search
H chord for
text.
help.
It also told me I can press H chord for help if I want more information. I don't really need that right now. Let's say that I want to check for updates, but it moved and I don't really remember where it is, and maybe you don't have the release notes and you just want to check for updates. Well, I could just start typing that in. I'll just type the word check.
3 matches.
3 matches. Let's see what the first match is.
Check for BT Speak updates in BT Speak management menu.
Okay, and that's exactly the one I wanted. It says check for BT Speak updates. It even told me what menu it's in. It's in the BT Speak management menu. So if I happen to have a good memory, then I can remember that and say, oh, that's where they put it. They put it in the BT Speak management menu. If I want to go to it, I'm not going to do that, but if I press enter, which is dot 8, it will then go to that option. Okay, that's really it for the demo of the menus. As I said, we're not going to go through every single menu, but if you have a question about a specific menu item during this call, feel free to ask and we'll try to help. So I think having said that, we will open this up for any kind of questions or feedback that you might have, either for us about the product in general or about the update in particular. And please just raise your hand if you do have something to ask or comment on, and Stephen will let us know who's got a hand raised, and then we'll unmute you.
Okay, we're going to go to Michael Harris.
I had asked this, I think, on the email list, but I don't know if the message didn't go through or if it got responded to, I missed it. So I'm going to ask it here. And it doesn't have to do with this update, but when you're copying something from, say, like a large amount of things from a USB drive, say, to the SD card you have in your unit, currently it just tells you that it's doing it. Would it be something that would be considered added to the list to get a progress report every so often? 20% there, when you're doing
Yep.
a mass copy like that?
Yeah, I do remember seeing that actually. And you're right. I didn't personally comment on it, but I did make a note of putting that on our list of suggestions for future updates.
Oh, okay.
I personally really liked the idea. Um, and I try not to give opinions too much on people's ideas, but I really
Sure.
did see the value of it. And I will certainly make a note to our developers about it to see if it's something that we can add. I think it's reasonable, as you say, especially for really large files. It would be helpful to know.
Yeah, I was moving
Um,
like 3 gigs of stuff from a USB to the an SD card, and I was like,
yeah,
for a while I wasn't even sure it was doing it, but it said it was. So I'm like, well, it's long and it's gonna take a while, and it did it. But man, I wish I could kind of have an idea. Um, may I ask one more question,
yeah.
or not?
I'll just add one more
Or you can come
comment.
back to me if you want.
So it I think it should either, if we can, to either give a percentage indicator or to at least speak the file that's being transferred. Like, okay, now we're transferring, book1.txt. Okay, now we're doing book1.brl. Even
Yeah,
that
that'd
would
be
be
good.
helpful because at
Yeah.
least then you would know what file is being moved or copied.
Okay. Yeah, that'd be great too.
Yep. So what
And
was your other question?
okay, I so somebody had commented that you could hook your BT Speak up to your Meta glasses, and I did that the other night, but I did it while my iPhone was off. I haven't been brave enough to turn on the iPhone and see which one would win. Um, I don't. I hope that makes sense. Um,
Yeah, it does. I
uh,
think I think when you pair them with the from what I know from memory because I've done this, I
mhm.
believe that you're not going to be able to use both at the same time. So when you connect it to the BT Speak, it's not going to use your iPhone's audio.
Okay, so it's probably just whichever one it was connected to, it's going to stay connected to it. I would imagine. Is that probably
I
right?
believe so. Steve Clower, if you have experience and want to add anything, feel free. But I think that that's what happened. I did this once, and with the glasses, and yeah, you can't have both. So once you connect it to the BT Speak, your phone audio goes back to your phone.
Okay.
Yes, and just to add a little bit, it's been a while since I've done this, but the one feature that will still work is if you invoke the Hey Meta, that'll still get processed on the phone, but standard
Oh,
Bluetooth
nice.
audio will not go.
Yeah,
Okay. Well, I will see. I don't know if whoever's going to be at the NFB convention, Mindy and I will be there, and I can't wait to look at that BT Braille.
good. Well,
So,
we're looking forward to seeing you.
all right. Thank you.
Mhm.
Thanks, Michael. All right, we're going to go to Andrea.
I stupid, but why connect your Meta glasses to your BT Speak to use it as a speaker? Is that basically what it's for? Or I guess I don't understand.
Yeah, that's probably that's the main reason why.
Okay,
If you want to use if you want to hear what's going on your BT Speak through your glasses, either the, text to speech as you're writing, or you might just
okay.
want to listen to a book or play a radio station
So you're
and have
using the
it.
glasses as a speaker, not as, okay, I get you.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay,
You're
I've not
basically
used, yeah.
using it as a headset.
Okay, gotcha. I haven't
Mhm,
used my glasses that way. And I was trying to figure out what the heck could you do with your glasses if you had them, but that makes perfect sense. Okay.
mhm.
And so you have a prototype of the BT Braille and you're gonna be, I won't be at convention this year, unfortunately, but when do you or do you have an anticipated release date for the BT Braille?
We do not still have an anticipated release date at this time.
Okay, okay, that's fair. Was just curious. And
Mhm.
thank you for answering my question, David, because I thought it's going to sound really dumb, but I just couldn't figure out why.
No, no, it's not. It does sound pretty decent, actually.
I'm
The
sure.
only thing you should know is that if you're using it to do a lot of writing and you have keyboard echo on, or you're using it to do a lot of reading, like many Bluetooth devices, there is going to be some latency.
Some latency, sure.
Yeah,
Okay,
so it's not going to be as instant as using
okay,
the speaker from your BT Speak. But if you just want audio, coming out of your glasses,
sure.
it's surprisingly good.
Okay, and I mean, there's even latency with the phone when you're, trying to punch in your passcode or something with the glasses, it slows it down. So, but not a lot.
Yeah.
So,
Hmm.
no, I appreciate that. Thank you.
No worries.
All right, thanks, Andrea. We're gonna go to Joel.
So I'm new to a BT Speak. I don't have one yet. Um, I don't know Braille or Braille input. I have a Hable One, and I've been getting used to that, playing with that. And I thought I'd like to try, something, maybe next level. I don't know if that's maybe the right positioning. Um, but I'm also a software developer, and I was curious if one thing I'm interested in the BT Speak is dropping into the Unix shell and then potentially developing applications. Is that supported? Is that possible to develop our own applications
Oh, yeah.
on the
Yeah,
device?
absolutely. Chris or Steven, you might be better to speak on that. But the short answer for me is absolutely, and we encourage it, and we'll do what we can to help you with it.
Yeah, we have
All
a
right.
number of users that have already developed applications and shared them with the customer base, and so it's becoming a very popular development platform as the product grows. And we encourage that. We left the all of the code open source because we want people who are interested to build their own applications and utilities that suit their particular subjective needs. And so
Great.
we absolutely encourage that, and we do everything we can to assist others with doing that because hey, you may have ideas that we haven't thought about.
Great. Does it have
Yeah.
oh, sorry, go ahead.
Oh, no, sorry. Hi, Joel. This is Chris Blazie. I just wanted to echo Stephen's comment that we absolutely want to leave the system mostly open for that. There will probably be some areas where we won't leave it open to tinkering just in case because
Yeah.
we don't want to introduce some applications out there that could potentially harm other users.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, I don't want to break my device either. I'm
But
sure.
if you're a Python developer, the sky's the limit. I mean, there's practically nothing you can't do.
Okay, that was good. That was my next question. Excuse me, next question. I don't know if I'd be able to. Is it has Python installed, or I can apt install it or something?
Oh
Or?
yeah, no, Raspberry Pi is kind of a Python, based
Yeah,
platform. Yeah, so yes, it certainly does, and a lot of our code is already in Python, and most of that's exposed, and will continue to be. And as Steven said, we have people developing applications in Python. You can, other languages too, but I think Python is probably the most accessible and easiest to get somewhere.
yeah. Okay. Okay. Great. Well, thank you. I appreciate
You're
it.
welcome. Yeah.
Great, thanks, Joel. It's a good question. Oh, we have one more from Andrea.
Okay, no worries.
Okay.
Hey, Andrea.
It's not, okay. Am I, okay, it's saying the host is not allowed me to unmute, but it looks like I'm unmuted anyway,
Oh,
so.
yeah, we can hear you
Okay,
fine.
perfect. Thank you, David. I'm
Mhm.
sorry.
No, you're good.
I got a notification saying I couldn't unmute. My only concern about this, and it's more of a comment, as a somewhat novice user who doesn't have any programming experience,
Mhm.
it seems like, for example, with this notebook program that the one gentleman developed, a lot of people had trouble with it, and I didn't even understand how you'd run it. What people were saying in emails and stuff made very little sense to me. And so I'm just concerned as to how user-friendly some of these things are and what you actually have to do to install it and make it work.
Well, that notebook, I'm familiar with what you're talking
And
about.
I'm not criticizing anybody. I'm just
No,
asking
no,
because I really didn't understand.
no, it's okay. That's kind of a special case. So that was where we had one customer who said, "Oh man, I really wish the BT Speak could do such and such." And then another user said, "Oh, I think I could write a piece of software that could do that." And it's the reason why it may seem a little more complicated than it has to be is because it's currently not something that we're including. It's something that you have to install independently.
Okay,
Um, if it's a piece of software that we're going to include, for example, I'll just give you one common example that lots of people have used that makes sense is, let's say, the radio tuner or something.
right. Yes.
That's something that we would, if it's something that we're going to ship with all units, um, we would have it pre-installed, or if it's something that's a third-party program, we would probably try to work with the developer to get an easy way of installing it. This
Okay,
particular developer was just sort of doing it on his own time. He
okay.
admitted publicly that, he's sort of doing this while he's in school.
Right.
So it's
I
just
saw that.
kind of a, I'll do it when I can type of project. And that's okay. But the only downside is that he wrote probably a very usable program. It just doesn't have an installer yet.
Okay.
And I think once an installer is built and an easy way to actually install that and make that part of the device, it would be as easy as any of the programs that we already ship with it.
So if somebody develops a program and you decide you like it, you would probably include it like in an update or something, or provide some way to install it that doesn't involve, going into the shell and stuff that I'm nervous about trying because I'm
Yeah,
afraid I'll break something.
yeah,
Okay. All
if it's
right.
something that we're supporting and endorsing, we will try
Okay.
to do everything we can to make that easy to access. And really, that's true for anything. I could write a program for Windows and make it really easy and give everybody an installer, and all they have to do is run it and it just works. Or I could say, well, this is the beginning of a program and there's no way to
Right.
install it, so you have to copy a bunch of files in this folder, and then you have to, and there are programs like that.
Yes.
But if hopefully, if it's something that begins to mature and you grow features that we would want to support, you would find that there would be an easier way of both installing and accessing that program.
Okay. Thank you, David, because I was reading these emails and I'm just not following. And it seems like there's a lot of people on the list who do know what this is all about, but I wasn't one of them. And I thought, gosh, is this the way it's going to be if we have new stuff? But I'm
No,
glad. I appreciate that. Thank you.
sure. Chris or Stephen, I don't know if you want to add anything.
I just wanted to add on to what you said, David, that emphatically we'll draw a line between applications out there that we support and that we understand, and those that are not. They're just other users who are experimenting with things. There's even been a discussion on the list, Andre, you probably saw this, where somebody was proposing a separate list for this kind of thing, Python development, application development, etc. Maybe that'll happen. I'm not really sure. We didn't want to commit to it on our end because there's already a lot going on. But we if you ask on the list, we'll tell you if something is something that we're going to support directly, or if it's just a user generated content.
Okay, let's go on back to Michael.
The first thing I was going to say is, and I found this out by muscle memory. I was listening to some audio on the BT Speak on the glasses, and the the little swipe volume control on the glasses don't work. It just beeps. So you definitely use your volume controls on the BT Speak. There's no hands-free operation on that, which is fine. I expected it. I just, without thinking, oh, that's not loud enough. I went to turn it up on my glasses and got doot.
Ah, I see. I
So,
didn't think to try that,
uh,
but that's helpful to know. Thank you.
and I doubt, well, because there's so many different volume. You have the media volume, the speech volume. I don't know if
Mhm.
there'd even be a way to make the BT Speak rec. It obviously knew I was doing something because it beeped. It was just something it didn't recognize.
Yeah,
Um,
that's a known issue with Bluetooth headsets. That's a good reminder.
and if that's something that could be, if some of those controls could be uh, added in or recognized somehow in the future, that'd be cool. And the other thing, and we've kind of talked about this, but talking about different programs, as more features are getting developed, there are probably going to be some things that some people will use and other people won't. I wonder, we've talked about kind of an app store kind of situation where, say, if some people aren't going to use the radio tuner or aren't going to use the Bible or the whatever, eventually memory is going to become an issue as more programs get added, right? And so I'm just thinking down the road, maybe we're not there yet, but there ought to be a way to delete things that you're not going to use.
I don't have any comments to say about that. Chris or Stephen, I don't know if you do at this time.
Well, you're not the
Yeah.
first person to.
Go ahead, Stephen.
Yeah, sorry. Michael, you're not the first person to bring up this issue, and it's a it's a growing pain sort of issue. You start to the menu starts to build with all these things, and some users want them, and others, you start accumulating a lot of things that you don't need, and it takes you longer to get where you do want to go. And so this has come up. We haven't found the right solution yet, but it's being discussed. And
I'm just afraid of the memory too, like the more I mean, these features take up room, and so, and I know there's real estate there, but it's not unlimited.
yeah, well, we've got a lot of room on the
Yeah.
device. Most of the tools that we have are not really consuming a lot of space. Those
Mhm.
that we pay attention to them.
Okay, well,
Most of
thank you.
most of the custom programs on the BT Speak you could fit on an old style floppy disk. That's
Oh,
how
nice.
little room they take.
Okay.
Small.
Well, that won't be an issue for a long time then.
All right, we're going to go to Gary.
Good evening to all of you, and thanks for such a great device. I'm eagerly awaiting the BT Speak or the BT Braille, especially the 40 cell version.
Mm-hmm.
My question relates to the update. I updated today, and when it pops, when it starts up, it pops you into the editor and says file release notes, and it's empty.
Okay, that
So
should not.
where can I go get those?
Okay, well, there's two things. First, I will check that just to make sure that that's not a global problem because we obviously have not intended for that file to be empty. So I'll check it out. If you go to the, well, a couple things. If you go to the help system with Ocord H and then go to guides and tutorials, one of the things you'll see is it'll say something like, what's new in this release? That should be available. I mean, that should have the content.
Okay.
So that's the first thing I would try because that's built into every update. So again, that's Ocord for options, H for help, G for guides and tutorials. You'll have to press enter when you get to that, and then look for the thing that says, what's new in this release? And it's got heading navigation and all of that. Now, if you want another separate copy of that, not on the BT Speak, you can go to our website, which is Blazie Tech, Blazietech btspec.com. It's probably on the main page, but I'll bet if you go to guides and media, oh no, I'm sorry. Software documentation. Um, that has release notes for every update we have come out with going back to March of last year. So go to our website, go to software. I think it says software updates. I'm not actually on it, so I'm doing this from memory, but it'll say something like software updates. Stephen, jump in and correct me if I'm wrong. And on that page, you'll find the June release notes. It's in HTML format, which means it's got all the headings and all of that. So it's real easy to read with a screen reader.
That'll work. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, but it should
And
be on your BT Speak.
there
And
is this product has come such a long way since you released it.
I agree. I say that to the
It's
team
nice to
every
see a
month.
company actually do that much innovation. Unfortunately, I'm not used to seeing this in the blindness space very often.
Well,
And
thanks. We
it
really
sure is
appreciate.
refreshing. I love it. Thank you, folks.
That's
That's great.
kind to say, and we're happy to do it, and we're happy that you like it. I also do want to point out, since we're talking about the release notes, another thing we've updated for the third time, or maybe the second time, depending on how you want to count it, is the user's manual. It's much more complete now, and that is also in the BT Speak. If you go to Options, Help, Guides, and Tutorials, and you'll see the user's manual. So that is in the BT Speak, and it's also on our website. Should be on the guides and media page. If anybody has trouble getting to that, I'll be happy to send a version of it to you offline as an attachment. I have it as a Word file locally because that's what we use to do most of the work on the manual. So that's also been updated and it reflects the new menu system.
All right, we've got another hand here. I'm going to go to Scott.
There was a mention earlier made of possible, overloading of your or memory overload. I I don't think that should be too much of a problem as long as they use you got to draw the line at some point. I think if Blazie Technologies adds software, then it seems to me it can be in Blazie mode. Whereas any other software you add, a user him or herself adds should be in desktop mode. Where do you draw the line? You can't. I don't. I don't think it's fair for people to ask Blazie Technologies to come up with every little app for every little thing, and I don't think it's fair for them to ask that. Or to ask Blazie Technologies to put every app into traditional, or what you're now calling Blazie mode in the latest update. When the BT Speak was developed, it was designed to get you up and running with the most common programs or applications like Radio Tuner, and of course your topmost level editor that you're in when you start up. Uh, Things like that to get you sort of up and running, and then I think it's up to each and every user to decide where they want to go from there. It shouldn't rely on Blazie Technologies for every little thing, especially if it's a full-fledged Linux computer with a desktop mode running Orca. The choices are, the sky's the limit there. That's just my comment.
Okay, well, thanks, Scott.
Thanks, Scott. All right, we're going to go to John.
I'm wondering if Unicode Braille, all 8-dot Unicode Braille would be available on the BT Braille.
This isn't something I don't think I can answer. Steve Clower, I don't know if you have any speculation or thoughts about that, or if it's just too early to comment at this point?
That is a good question. I believe technically it's possible to do. The tricky part, I think, is going to get the input system to work with it, but it's still early days. But that's a good point to raise, especially now that Unicode Braille actually exists. The BT Braille, I do agree, should at least be able to allow you to read it. Writing it might be a bit more of a challenge, but something that I hope Blazie Tech will consider.
All right. I think that does it.
All
Thanks,
right.
everyone. Questions? Back to you, David.
Yeah, thanks. Well, I just want to thank everybody for joining us. I want to thank the Blazie Technologies team for joining and also supporting me and being able to answer some of the questions that I perhaps can't answer yet. Thank you for joining us, and for those of you who are attending the ACB or NFB conventions, please be safe. Have safe travels. We're looking forward to seeing you, and thank you for joining the webinar, and wish you all a good night and a good week.
Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more content like this.